Hello everyone, Ryan here, and today we have another episode of the Not Really Qualified to Talk About Music podcast. I am not sure which episode we're on at this point. Is it like 13 or something? I don't even know. But yeah, wherever we're on, we are here today with Josh, of course. I always forget to introduce Josh.
No,
we have
it's
Josh.
me. It's me, as
it
always.
Is Josh. And we have Deep Cuts, Oliver from Deep Cuts. Oliver, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, pretty damn all right. It's all good. It's been a while since we did the podcast, so yeah, it's all good.
It's been a while since one's. I mean, yeah, but there's been a couple of lost episodes, I guess, in our discography for this.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know if we'll get too much into the last one, but
will they be released on B-side at some
B-side,
point, or we get like
B-side
a record store day version?
Yeah, then not really qualified to talk about music B-sides.
I'll queue up for that on record
Black
store
Friday
day.
Release, record store day in the UK.
Right. Damn right, yeah.
Yeah, on like pink vinyl.
Pink vinyl.
Nice.
Oh yes, I love this. This is great. You've just set up a business. This is all good. It's I never would think of these ideas. So
I'm the money maker.
Money maker. So yeah, Josh, tell us about your music venture that you wanted to bring up. Yes,
I wanted to bring this. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I guess it. Yeah. Today we're talking about movies at some point, which is a unique, thing for our podcast. We usually just blabber on about music, but this time we're going to blabber on about, movies, film, shit we're liking at the moment. And I guess I just saw a tie-in to the music project that's coming out this Friday, which is essentially me trying to make a sort of ambient noise album that sounds like a soundtrack to nothing. Was essentially my idea. I love soundtracks, and I've been listening to so many recently. And I think even with ambient music in general, I see, like images and scenes going on in my head as the music's playing. Like it's almost like a perfect fit. So I wanted to make an album where, there's a possibility that people can have that same, reaction if I give, enough context as to what I was thinking at the time and, what scenes were going on in my head when I was making it. So, yeah. No, I just wanted to flog that. It's out Friday.
Yeah.
Bandcamp.
Awesome. It's all good.
Sounds good. Really. Sounds like a lot of Eno influence there as well. With music for films and things like that.
Maybe. I'm not.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I actually chatted with... I chatted...
Yeah. Your best mate.
We had a Skype call, and yeah, he's now my father.
Oh.
Amazing.
He co-produced.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, no. I had a chat with Liam on his Transistor podcast yesterday.
Ooh.
About it a tiny bit. I'm busy. Everybody wants me. I'm just. What can I say? I'm making it in the big time now. I'm the.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have. You're not gonna have me for longer, Ryan. I'm moving on.
Oh yeah, I'm just not good enough anymore.
Got Brian Eno. I'm doing 2 podcasts in 2 days. What next?
Crazy. No, it's really cool though. Like when we first started this podcast, like we obviously talked about music a lot and stuff. But I guess I just never thought like, oh, Josh is gonna go off and do his own music project at any point. So it's really. Not to say that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's just like it's just cool. Like, it's just weird how things progress. Like, I'm sure you probably didn't think you were going to do it either, but it's crazy how influences just come about, isn't it?
I know, and I think, to be honest, like Oliver, and it's great to have Oliver on because I don't think I'd be into such strange music if it wasn't for the amount of like, deep cuts essentials or videos on post whatever, or just these weird genres that I somehow just managed to slither into through, constant like half an hour, probably more than that, just like binges of these, videos. And so it's a perfect fit. It almost fits very nicely.
Yeah,
that's really nice to hear. It's lovely.
Oh no, I've told you
really
that before. Personally.
Yeah, we've chatted before, haven't we? Yeah.
Oh, look at you two.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool, though. It's cool.
Yeah, not enough flogging my stuff. Let's flog some other people's stuff.
Yeah,
flog some music we've been enjoying.
Yeah. What have I liked? Well, I just as of now, I've just recorded the Let's Eat Grandma review. Has anyone been hearing that album?
Not yet, actually. No. What's it like?
The second track is produced by SOPHIE,
Hot
so
Pink.
you obviously know it. Hot Pink, yeah. So you obviously know what you're getting with that. It's metallic, it's eccentric and weird, off the wall, electronic type stuff. I just assumed the album was going to go in that direction, and I know a lot of people are liking it, even though it didn't go in that direction. But for me, it's kind of like a weird way to lure you in, because I was just like, oh, this album's going to be like this, it's going to be crazy, and then it doesn't end up being that way. So the music that they give is still good, but I just wanted to hear more of that. So I guess I was a little disappointed. But yeah, I think it's cool overall, though. I definitely recommend it.
I haven't quite. Yeah, I haven't. I've like gone into it, half-assed, really. Like for some reason I have no real interest in digging into that album and listening to it the full way through. I don't know what it is. I've got no like energy to do it. I liked Hot Pink, but I wasn't as big as on it as everybody else was. I remember that. I don't know. I remember their last album, I, Gemini, which was also incredibly underwhelming.
I didn't actually ever hear it. So.
No. What about Ollie? Do you remember that I, Gemini?
No, I don't actually. I didn't even listen to that record. That completely passed me by.
Because I think what the interesting thing about them is that they were so young. They're like,
oh god,
yeah, they're really young. Like I can't. Maybe in their early teens, maybe mid-teens.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah,
really?
And they're from Norwich. Like this sort of, they're making pretty interesting stuff for a couple of really young kids, teenagers. I don't want to call them children. They're way more successful than me, so
yeah, that's funny.
It's a hint of patronising.
Yeah, I don't want to belittle them. Obviously, they could fucking.
I watched Liam's review after I did mine, and I think he said they're 19. So whenever their debut came out, which was quite a few years ago, they must have been like just have left school or something. I don't even know.
Yeah,
crazy.
Wow, that's weird to me. I'm always shocked that like Lil Yachty and like Lil Pump are the same age as me now.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
And I'm like, where did my life go?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could be a mumble rapper, Josh. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
I feel like I'd be all right. Do you know, I've always looked at, Pete Davidson from the SNL sketches? Yeah. I always think of him as he could be a white mumble rapper, but like in a really comedic sense. And I'm thinking, I kind of look a bit like Pete Davidson. I'm pasty. I'm white.
Maybe that should be the next project after the Ambient.
The next one
maybe you should
is
do.
a trap album featuring Brian Eno.
He loves it. He loves the mumble.
Does he?
Rap. Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah, he seems like the type of guy to.
That's my first hot take on this podcast.
Oh,
yeah.
Brian Eno's a trap rapper.
Yeah. No, I said he likes it. I didn't say he was.
I bet Bowie loved it back when he was obviously, around. I bet he was into it. Like the early scene of it. I reckon Bowie was into it.
Can't say that. He's dead now. Can't say anything about Bowie.
Can't say it? Okay, so you can't say he was a great musician? No?
Rest in peace, Bowie. That's it. Can't talk about him.
That's the only thing we can say now.
Right.
Oh,
rest in peace, Bowie.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I didn't realise
we can also monetize his entire discography just by shoving him out there.
So yeah. Sorry, what have you been listening to, Oliver or Ollie, whichever you prefer?
Yeah, you can do Ollie. That's cool.
We're on that level now.
yeah, we've done it now. Yeah, it's fine. It's too late now, isn't it?
Mr. Deep Cuts.
Yeah, that's it. Mr. Deep Cuts. Thank you very much. No, I speaking of Sophie, I think her record has been absolutely fantastic. Like, one of the things I've listened to the most this month, because just the left field pop. That there's just I really like how the first track feels like it's so intimate. There's something so intimate about that opening track, and you think, wow, you're really sort of laying your heart out here. And then you get Pony Boy, which is just this like sort of brutal metallic track. And I think the fact that she managed to incorporate both styles and it doesn't actually feel like a jarring record is just so well done. And for like what's basically her debut on the world stage. To that level, I think it's just amazing. I think it's one of the best things I heard this month, to be honest.
I think what I found with that record is most people were disappointed as soon as they listened to it, because not every track on there is face shopping. It's it's not all this metallic, as you say, like in your face bass shit. And I agree, like I love how intimate that first track is, and it does carries through. People, no matter what people say, maybe the lyrics are a bit cringy or whatever, but it's kind of so, intimate, and you can totally feel, like, her voice and the instruments and all just coming together, and it's beautiful. And then, as you say, this sort of clash of, you get Pony Boy and Face Shopping, that almost like they really intertwine so well, like they carry through to one from the other, like you wouldn't even notice. One ends and then the other starts so abruptly. I almost wish we did have more of those tracks, but I'm not complaining about that album, because I do think it's one of the more most interesting releases of this month.
Definitely.
And the thing is like, we're going to get more of that anyway when the next album comes out. We're just going to get more of those hard-hitting type bangers. So the fact that she's just switched things up and tried some other things, I was fine with that. I like the way it sounded.
Being an artist that, does something that nobody would expect is a part of the, interest. I always see Sophie as this, artist who could literally do anything. She could do anything. I mean, she's produced on, so many really, really cool, artists' albums and, tracks or whatever. And it's always, you can tell it's her, but it's at least, it's always really, really interesting as she's trying to do something else. And so I'm glad that I was, I didn't get a full album of what I expected. I think, I think I said on one of our podcasts that I think she could really pull off a perfect record, like a perfect pop record at some point, like to a T. And it's one of, it'll be like a Kendrick Lamar. Everybody agrees that it's fucking amazing. I see her heading that way so hard. Like, she's so talented.
I definitely agree. Any other records lately, Ollie?
Gang Gang Dance, Kazuashita. Yeah, that is. It's funny because Eye Contact. So that came out in 2011, and that's still one of my favorite albums of the last 10 years. I just think it's this brilliant, strange, psychedelic electronic record. And even though this new record doesn't quite hit those kind of heights, I think there are just so many beautiful moments throughout the record. There's a kind of dream pop aesthetic going on. You've got there's a moment during, I think it's the second track, J Tree, where you have this recording of, I think it's some protesters out on a plane somewhere, and then this herd of buffalo turn up, and they're all kind of cheering for the buffalo. And it's one of those kind of real life-affirming moments in music that you don't always get. And I think there are a number of moments on that record that manage to hit that kind of emotive level. I hope more people listen to it, because then they're a band that have sort of slipped off the scene since 2011. Because if you don't release an album with 7 years, then people are going to forget
unless
about
you're
it.
The Arctic Monkeys.
And especially, well, yeah, of course, yeah. Unfortunately, but oh no, forget that. But I think I think they deserve to be listened to. I think some of the problems are that the vocalist, she sounds very similar to Grimes.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously, Grimes hadn't really hit the world stage in 2011 when Eye Contact came out, but then we obviously had in 2012 Grimes really going places. Yeah. And now people hear Lizzie's voice from Gang Gang Dance as sort of an impersonator of Grimes, but I feel like she was there first. So.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I heard it.
Good record, though.
Yeah, I've heard it a few times. I might return to it again, but it didn't really click with me. And actually, the issue for me was the vocals. I didn't actually think of Grimes, though, but it was more just how,
really?
like, I don't know, there's something about it that I just couldn't quite, like, connect with. But maybe go back to it, see how it is, and see if it changes. So, yeah.
Yeah, let it percolate. Yeah. The other one that springs to mind is Kamasi Washington's record, Heaven and Earth, which is bloody long. So if you've got a spare, 2.5. Well, actually now he's released the bonus record. It's like 3.5 hours long, isn't it? So
it's crazy. I think, but what I love actually, you say what you want about how long, how lengthy the records are. I have never once thought that it demands your attention for, 4 straight hours. I've always thought I can sit down, listen to probably an hour of this, go away for a few days, come back and listen to a bit more. And still get a really, really great experience. He's just amazing. I feel like I love this, even more than is the Epic. There's just something a bit more progressive, especially about the vocals. On the first half of the album, like this sort of almost auto-tune psychedelic vocals that's going on. I love that stuff. Like it just really separates this album from the Epic and that's what I was worried about. I was worried that it was just going to be another Epic album, but no, I think there's a lot to this album that people weren't getting on his last.
Yeah, I think he's an interesting example at the moment as well of an artist who has become a poster boy for jazz, for people who don't usually listen to jazz, and at the same time completely derided by a lot of people for having that title. And he's not asked for that title, but he's been given it. And I think traditional jazz heads are listening to him thinking there's nothing particularly original about what he does. But that doesn't mean all music has to be completely groundbreaking. The way he does what he does is really good. But I've read a couple of jazz blogs about the way his sort of tonality is a little bit weak, even though he's a really great rhythmic improviser. Some of his sort of melodic sensibilities are a bit too basic and things like that, which are maybe not things that people who don't listen to jazz often would hear anyway. And even so, I'm a person who listens to a lot of modern jazz anyway, and I still haven't listened to any albums recently that have the same sort of scope as Kamasi Washington's music. There's a real scope to it. You feel like you're listening to a huge band with the choir. It feels like so much is going on. And most jazz records I've listened to of late, the ones that are really good are usually paired back trios or something, So I think he is still doing something unique for this time period. It's just interesting how he always seems to be derided by people for being successful, really. I think being successful is like not something that jazz fans want their musicians to be in 2018. I don't know.
I think it tends to be. It's one of those things where people are so like up themselves for their taste, the taste they have. They're like, oh, now the commoners are enjoying jazz.
Yeah.
Who else? It's like. It's. I think it's one of those, and I do think he is accessible to a point, but in a way, like how accessible is like a 3.5 hour album to the the common listener? He's successful, but in a sense that it's probably only people who are truly interested in music, like keeping up. I don't think me mum is going to pick up a Kamasi Washington record on CD next week. After
I hope she does now.
After only listening to like her S Club 7 and Steps and stuff, I don't think she's going to walk out and think, oh, I fancy that one.
Yeah.
No, I mean there's levels, aren't there? There's the very casual music listener. There's the music fan, which I think most are interested in what Kamazi's doing, and then there's obviously the below that or above that, whichever you want to say. There's the diehard jazzers who are in a completely different realm because that's their real specific love. So I think for the people that are into Kendrick Lamar and Thundercat and Flying Lotus, Kamasi Washington's part of that kind of collective, and he is doing music that fits into that in some way. But it doesn't sound like a Heaven and Earth doesn't sound like a Flying Lotus record. It doesn't sound like a Kendrick Lamar record. No. So, but you can see where those sort of sensibilities and ideas are flowing through all of those disparate projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to actually check this out, Mark, because I've yet to hear it. It is a length that's kind of like making me a bit like, oh, it's good. It's just so long. But then I guess you can just take breaks. So perhaps it's not an excuse,
Well,
so,
I suppose
I did like the Epic though. I did like the Epic.
Oh, I mean.
But you sat and listened to Drake's new album, and that's bloody.
You only listened to the first half, haven't you?
The first half?
Yeah, you only reviewed the first half.
No, I did both.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was you that said you'd only done the first. No, I think it might have been someone else who had only reviewed the first half now, and they're reviewing the second half.
Yeah, I think that's Luke James. If I remember.
Yeah, I think I think I'm getting you mixed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did watch both of your reviews. I promise.
You didn't do it, did you?
No.
What, could Luke not bear to do it in two parts? He was
one
part. He was just like, I need to
not surprised.
split this up.
To be honest, I listened to it all the way through once, and I thought there is no chance I'm doing that again. So I just sat on my bed. I was playing FIFA on my Nintendo Switch. I just had Sean C in the background reacting to the album, so I could just get snippets of what I'd already heard again. And to me, that justifies not liking Scorpion whatsoever. It's without a doubt my worst record of the month. And it's only been 4 days. I know I would have heard it in June, wouldn't I?
Yeah, that's technically a June release, though.
Okay,
but I'm including it in my roundup.
Yeah, it was the worst June record then. I don't think I.
Yeah, to be fair, it's going to end up being one of the worst of the year, so it's all good.
Yeah, I think what puts it out, away from from me putting it as like my top 10 worst of the year is the fact that it's just Drake. Like, I can listen to Drake, and think I'm all right listening to this. I'm not in pain, like I could be in, with some artists. He's just so mediocre, and it doesn't get better than that. It might get worse than mediocre, but it never gets better than mediocre for me. People love Nice for What, and I have no idea why. I just don't get it. Yeah, I just don't understand.
It's an alright pop song, it's okay. The funny thing with Drake is that I actually think that I don't think he'll ever get back to this point, but I think Nothing Was the Same was the best thing he did by quite a long way. And I think there's a lot of I think that's actually a really good project. That's Take Care was okay. Take Care had some good tracks on it as well. But ever since Nothing Was the Same, I've just been so disinterested. I mean, he puts out a couple of good pop songs occasionally, but he used to have a bit more fire to his verses. If you listen to the track on Good Kid, Mad City, which I can't remember the title of it right now.
Poetic Justice.
Yeah, Poetic Justice. He hasn't had that kind of fire in his delivery in any of the new records. It's just that kind of drawl, which doesn't excite me at all.
What I will always defend. I'll always defend Drake on, and I know, Ryan, you wouldn't agree with this because you said in your review, but I always defend Drake on, if you're reading this, it's too late. I think that that Drake's fire is still in that project. His lines are actually really good. It's just he somehow instrumentally got a lot slower. But I think it's probably due to around the time where, Party Next Door and Future and all of these really, slow trap rappers were sort of coming in, and he, he was collaborating obviously with his, his label and stuff like that. All the, these but I have to defend that record. I really enjoy that album. I even have it on vinyl. Like, it got reissued.
Really?
Yeah, it got reissued last year, and I bought it. Because I just think it's got some. I think it's got some great tracks.
Yeah, a lot of people love it, but I still think it has the same issues all his other albums do. Just the same Drakeisms that we've gotten.
Not as long though. It's not as long though.
It's about an hour, right? I thought it was.
Yeah, but that's not that long. You know, like an hour. There's many projects that are an hour that I would count as, you know.
Yeah, for sure,
great.
for sure.
Oh yeah, but I feel like with Drake, like I think Drake needs to do a 40-minute album.
I would
maybe 45.
An hour is always too long for Drake. That's my
True.
issue. Every
project.
Every project.
Because he's so one note.
That's the thing.
There's so many good 2-hour albums.
I don't
want to.
Yeah, I can defend if you're reading this too late, but it is not. It's not like. I wouldn't even, I wouldn't have put it in like my top 10 for that year. You know.
Oh no.
Like there's there's parts that I really like about it. It's still a bit drab every now and again. Like, and that, you're going to get that with any Drake project pretty much from now on until he pulls his finger out of his arse and, does something. There's just...
But he never needs to, does he? He's making so much money anyway. Yeah, it doesn't matter what Drake does now. He's always going to get
who cares if Pusha T fucking put him in the ground? Like, on this new album, he just almost ignores it. He's like...
Yeah, he doesn't need it anymore.
He's like, what happened? No, that didn't happen. Here's Scorpion to all distract you from the fact that I took a fucking, ass ruining from King Pusha.
Yeah, the thing is, I have seen a little bit more like negativity towards Drake lately. I don't know if that's just who I'm following on social media.
Yeah, but the stands are always going to be there, and they'll keep him. They'll keep him up, and the what they call Fiat 500 Twitter are gonna
Fiat 500.
They're gonna fuel it.
Oh, gotcha.
As long as Drake's putting out music, it's going to be listened to.
So
Ollie, was Nothing Was the Same? Was that one of your top of 2013 or?
Oh no, not at all. No, it wasn't a top. It wasn't a top album. It's just it's my number one of 2013. No, it was I thought it was a solid record. I think there's a lot of good tracks on there that weren't singles, which I can't usually say for most Drake projects. Usually, the best tracks on a Drake album are the singles we've already heard. Like on Scorpion, the best track's probably God's Plan because we've already heard it, and it's already. So I don't. No, in no way in 2013 was Nothing Was the Same one of my favourite records. But of all the Drake records, that's the one I've returned to more often than not, I would say.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Good to clarify that. I don't want to lose my reputation in a single podcast.
I was curious. I was like, let me see. Like, I thought that was going to be answered. I thought it was going to be answered.
Yeah.
This is a Drake loving free zone. We're not allowed to be positive about Drake.
In fact, June gave us another terrible record as well, which was Gorillaz.
Oh,
do you think it's terrible? I think it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Humans, but that's not saying much.
Do you think it's beneath Humans?
No, it's not. It's not Humans.
Oh,
it's not as bad as Humans.
That's what I was asking.
No, we did a listening party for Humans before the Deep Cuts Discord had started, and we were doing Google Hangouts, and the reactions to listening to Humans first time at sort of 6 a.m. were absolutely just brilliant because everyone was like, "We got up for this," and it's just the most terrible project. I think the Now is it's just. There's nothing interesting about it. It's like Damon Albarn sat there and just gone, we'll just throw these tracks out and see if people like it.
Coming from a person who essentially like the record came in either as like on black vinyl for like I think it's like 20 quid, or you can get a box thing for 60 quid, which has like a bit of art in it, as a few stickers. And I'm just thinking, this is a total cash grab. This is what this album is.
Of course.
It's like they saw the issue with Humans. They saw that everybody was disappointed. People were frustrated, and they were like, "Fuck, man, we need to like make another album." And because we probably didn't make enough money off from that one. Let's stick this one out as quick as possible. And you know what? We'll make a box thing that costs 60 quid, and people will buy it because we're Gorillaz.
Yeah.
And we'll have a couple of banger, not bangers, but like catchy tracks on there, and that'll be enough. I just wish they'd fuck off at this point. I wish they'd go away. Nobody wants another Gorillaz album now. Nobody.
I mean, maybe if it had a bit more creativity to it or something, but I don't know. The now has like really nothing to it. Like it's just so banal. Like it's so banal. It's just it's not Gorillaz at all, is it?
No, it's. I mean, I'm not even a big Gorillaz fan. Like their earlier records are good. They are good albums, and I like them. But I've never been a binge Gorillaz fan. I won't listen to their albums actively monthly or something like that, like some people would. But I understand them enough that this is not their best work. This is not the best time for Gorillaz right now.
No.
There's one other record I didn't enjoy this month, but I know you're both going to disagree with me massively for it. But Father John Misty,
we're fine.
No, we're not.
I
don't care.
Yeah, no, I knew.
It's all good. It's okay, Ollie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know that's one of my sort of more contrarian opinions, I guess. But I just still don't understand the pull of FJM. I just don't. I find him so egotistical and insular, and not in like a compelling way. I just find him. It's a bit like with the whole Mark Kozelek thing. It just grates on me. I'm like, get your personality out of this music. It's not doing anything for me. But I can appreciate him as I can appreciate him as a performer, and I can understand why people like him. But there's just something about him that just absolutely grates me.
Do you not like any of his albums? Or...
No, I couldn't stand Pure Comedy.
Okay, same. But
I reviewed that last year. To be honest, like I came to listen to this album, I was kind of thinking, well, unless he's completely changed his style, I can't see me liking this record. And I think if you like Pure Comedy, you're going to like God's Favorite Customer, because it's the same kind of album, isn't it? Maybe slightly more intimate lyricism, maybe. But other than that, it's the same kind of thing.
It is.
I coming from a big Father John Misty fan, a pretty huge one. I do think God's Favorite Customer is one for maybe the fans that actually aren't that interested in the slow sort of philosophical pure comedy stuff that he put out. And I mean that I love that album to bits, and it's funny how I always love the fact that Father John Misty is a bit of a Marmite guy, where people either can't stand his this personality that he's putting out there, or they love it, like they just eat that shit up, and I eat it up. Like I love personalities in music. I think it if you are the guy who's coming out and you're being egotistical, what you're doing, and you're saying ridiculous shit, and you're owning it, which I think he does. I love it. I just that's beautiful to me.
Yeah, I guess I want to correct something. So when I said get your personality out of the music, I agree with you there. I think people's personality needs to be in their music, and I don't feel that way. For example, Tom Waits, one of my favourite artists, his personality bleeds out of everything he does. I just don't like Father John Misty's personality,
which is so I think how we kind of work as human beings, and I think pretty much most people had that exact same reaction about Father John Misty. It's his personality, or it's just the music's a bit boring for them. Yeah. But I always love it when Father John Misty comes up, because I think there's a real debate to be had, a very long debate to be had about him. I think he's one of the more controversial artists, that people seem to be half and half on. There's no real majority, that agree or disagree with, his music.
I'm intrigued to see where he goes from this record and what he's going to do next, because I feel like he's not the kind of artist that will just now bang out another album that's the same as the last one. But yeah, I guess it's a bit like it's like King Gizzard. It's like other bands that we have personal dislikes about and we can't get rid of
Don't
those
bring up
feelings,
King
you know?
Gizzard, because unlike Father John Misty, King Gizzard have a really solid fan base, and the majority of people agree that they're really good.
Yeah, I know. Every time I talk about them, I get more
Massive
dislikes on my
hate.
videos than ever before.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, but it's fine. We've all got to have those artists.
Yeah,
aren't we, you know, so.
I do like. I love that though. When somebody, everybody has at least one artist that they can't stand yet. You know, everybody agrees on that they're great, and you know, it has to happen at some point. You know, look at me. I hated Damn. And, you know, I haven't got a lot of shit for it, but it's because I don't have a big fan base. I'm sure if I did, I'd probably be murdered by now.
Did you give us Damn a 7, Josh?
Damn a 7. I would have.
Did you Lil Pump Damn?
Yeah, did I Lil Pump Damn? I would have given it lower than that. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I think people have kind of cooled off on it though now, so it's kind of time's passed by and no one's as interested in it. But
yeah, good, because the memes got really boring.
Yeah. But back to Father John Misty, I love you, Honey Bear. I always have to say that because I still think that album's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the better like love albums I've heard like in this past 10 years. So I think just because it's so cynical and just funny and just and the music was a lot better too. I just think his music has gotten really stale as time's gone on, but I don't know, maybe we'll see if it ages well. We'll see, and maybe I'll like it in like 5 years. I don't know. A lot of people do seem to keep coming round on pure comedy as well. Every so often you see someone and be like, oh yeah, you know what, I used to hate that, but now it's like a 10 out of 10. Like, okay. Like, I just don't know how it can go from hating to 10 out of 10, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it immediately.
Yeah,
I think
fair.
I've always had it as like a completely solid album. But yeah, he you know, it's the mystical ways of Mr. Misty.
That sounds like a really good article title. If you ever write an article on John Misty,
it might be too many M's. I might be.
No, I like it. The alliteration.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They'll get those clicks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all that matters.
Exactly.
That's next to my career is, you know, doing articles for Pitchfork.
Perfect.
I love it. So yeah, should we get talking about some films? Because we said we'd do that and we haven't quite done it yet. Should we get onto it?
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't know how to segue into this. This was a terrible segue. Liam would be a lot better than this. Liam would be like,
trust me,
anyway, speaking of Kendrick Lamar, now we're going to talk about this film called The Lobster. Like,
I'd see that. The Lobster.
Yeah, what did you say?
The Lobster. I'd see that.
Yeah, it's a film.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a film.
It's
It's
a film.
a film. That might be why you'll see it.
Is it actually a film?
Yeah. It was
Is
just
it
the
about-
first thing I could think of.
Is it just about a lobster?
Oh no, it's a brilliant
Okay.
film. It's,
I mean,
yeah.
I wasn't thinking that The Lobster was about the lobster. I assumed it was some sort of weird concept or metaphor surrounding it.
not a Disney Pixar film.
Oh yeah.
That would-
That's a shame.
Yeah.
yeah.
Missed opportunity there, Disney.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, he's
That's
dead
all.
now, so you can't, you know.
Oh, we can't speak bad of dead people.
We can't speak R.I.P.
Anything.
Walt Disney too soon.
Too soon.
Oh, we'll see him again in 50 years because he's, you know, he's Frozen, isn't he? So
Oh, yeah, he's Frozen. Yeah, that's going to work,
yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
that'll be when Frozen 50 is out.
Frozen 50.
That would actually work incredibly well
Yeah.
for the anniversary, for some kind of, to commemorate Frozen 50. We're going to thaw out Walt Disney and see what happens.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the film.
Our talk about films is slightly going away here.
We didn't do that, did we? This just went.
No, I tell you what, I've been on my nostalgia game recently. I've been watching all the films that I loved as a kid,
Okay.
and I've just been all over them. I've been all over Star Wars, all over Indiana Jones. I watched all of the Alien movies. Unfortunately, the last two, the
Yeah.
3 and 4, if anyone has seen those movies, it's a bit of a shame.
Whoa, hold on.
Whoa. No. You cannot possibly defend. I mean, maybe Alien 3, but I don't know if you...
Yeah, I'm going to defend Alien 3. I'm going to defend David Fincher's Alien, because I don't think it's a bad film. I think it's like massively flawed, but at the same time...
Right.
Maybe it's because I saw it when I was younger, so I have a soft spot.
Maybe, yeah. Because I kind of came around to them in my in my early teens, and I was old enough to think, man, the CGI is garbage. I mean, yeah, but God, Alien Resurrection fucking sucks. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I've seen it twice now. I don't know why I watched it a second time, because my God, that's the same director that made Amelie.
Yeah, and Delicatessen as well. Yeah, it's a weird thing. I think that's just a great example of like an auteur being taken into a big budget blockbuster studio and not really been given anything to do, and it's just kind of like why he's even here to do this. It was just a terrible
and the
film.
Actors, I mean, even Winona Ryder is garbage in that film. Like, she's just so bad. Nobody in that film I would even consider an Oscar. An Oscar is fucking light years away. Even Ripley, what's her name? I forgot the actor's name. Sigourney Weaver. Like, even she's probably the best part. Her acting's decent, but like for some reason they made her character weirdly sexual. And there's like the scene where she just randomly says, "So who do I have to fuck to get off this ship?" And I'm like, what? Even the other characters are there like silent for like a good 15 seconds, and I'm like, yeah, I know.
Sigourney, you weren't supposed to say that.
Yeah. Did they not know as well? Like, did they not know she was going to say that? Because that's exactly my reaction.
Do you reckon she actually said set rather than ship, and they just ADR'd it after because she just wanted to be off of this terrible film?
Have I got to fuck this director just to get my paycheck and piss off? Jesus Christ! I mean, you knew it was bad as soon as they cloned her at the start. They brought her back to spoilers, by the way. But if you haven't seen the Alien,
I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah, nobody wants. No, to people who are listening, don't bother. I mean, this is fine. She dies in the third one, and then for some reason they clone her in the fourth one immediately, just to
they resurrect her.
Just to
that's the name of the film.
Resurrect.
Oh my God!
I've never even questioned why it's called Resurrection. Actually,
there you go. Yeah. I mean, it's also trying to resurrect a dying franchise and doing it badly. So there's that too.
Man, the first two Alien films, Alien and Aliens, are my favourite films ever. They're just to me, yeah. I don't know what it is. Like, I mean, the first Alien, suspenseful, soundtrack's beautiful. Jerry Goldsmith is phenomenal. Every actor, just the way it's all played out, and for 1979, it looks beautiful as well. I mean, that's I've forgotten the director's name. It's Ridley Scott. Yeah, it's Ridley Scott, and like he just makes the film look so good. And then in the next one, James Cameron somehow manages to make an action film and just separate it from Alien, which is exactly what you need with those. Like, first one's a phenomenal movie. The second one, you need to go out there and make something completely different.
Cameron's good at that, though. He did that with Terminator 2.
Exactly.
Terminator 2 is a nearly flawless action film.
Yeah, exactly. And I just love that kind of stuff. And that's why I love Alien and Aliens so much, is because they're two different films, but there's just no chance you'll get bored of them, because I watch them back to back sometimes, because to me it's like a completely different, like, a sense of I get something different out of them both. So
I'll admit I've only seen Alien, so it's a great film. It's a great film.
I would also suggest Aliens. Every day
definitely.
of the week.
Check out
every
Aliens.
day of the week. It proves
Don't watch it. Don't watch it every day of the week.
No, but I would suggest it every day of the week. I guess is what I'm saying. And, yeah, I'm like, it just proves how good those two directors are, and especially James Cameron, because he did it twice. He pulled it off twice,
and he'll do it again with Avatar 2 in 2049.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait for
right?
that film.
Yeah, but didn't he? Yeah, but he directed the first one, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, true.
Avatar, I'm not a big fan on.
Who is though? I don't know.
Weird.
I don't know a single person who's excited for Avatar.
It's too long. That film is too long. I was like,
I liked it, but I don't care about it. Like, it's not something I'd ever watch again.
Yeah,
but I think it was good on screen. Like, it was fine. But, no one wants a sequel now, do they?
No, just
not 4 sequels as well.
Oh my god, which is it's apparently planned to go on for that long. Yeah. Well, they've been directing. They've been making this one for like God knows how many years now. Way before the first one came out. Anyway.
Wow.
I
know. Crazy. It's dedication for such a garbage.
Did anyone see any cinema releases this month or June? Anyway,
I'm terrible.
Okay, well, I saw 2, and they to be honest, like, I wish. Well, I wish I didn't see Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Oh god.
I really wish I didn't. If anyone's seen that movie, the fucking pacing in the first half is some of the worst pacing I've ever seen in a film. Like, it's almost like they were like, okay, so in this one, we have to make them go back to the island. That's important. However, we also want to make this other film. So rather than, taking their time and writing a bit, they were like, oh, you've got to go back to the island. Okay, so this happens, then this happens, then this, and now they're in danger. And it's a second break, and then they're in danger again, and then they're in danger again. I'm just like, give me a fucking minute here. Like, I've seen the dinosaurs. Okay, so I understand that the suspense part of Jurassic Park and Jurassic World now doesn't really exist because we've all seen the dinosaurs. We know what they look like, know what they're capable of. But give us some story rather than just being like action scene, action scene, action scene, blah blah blah. Action scene again. And admittedly, in the second part of the film, it gets better because that's the movie they wanted to make. But they just obviously wanted to force the fact that they had to go back to the island because that's what Jurassic Park and Jurassic World is. It's all about the island.
Yeah, it's another film that doesn't deserve to have a franchise, to be honest.
No. Jurassic World was
it's a classic film with several sequels that just don't really work. And it's just
the first one. I watched that before I went and saw this new one, and oh man, I love it so much. Like, the characters are, so you get into them. Like, you really feel, the fact that he believes that dinosaurs. And this is another thing. Jurassic Park was ahead of its time as far as what they believed about dinosaurs. Like, the main character, is it John? It's someone Grant, isn't it?
I can't even remember. I haven't seen Jurassic Park for about 10 years.
The character's name's something Grant, I'm pretty sure. But he believes that, dinosaurs descended from birds, and at the time, nobody really, that was just a new thing, that we were discovering about dinosaurs is that they were descending from, birds descended from dinosaurs and all these other things. And recently, I saw this video. This is where this is coming. Where I saw it on YouTube. It was one of those like Genius, it was a like to Genius but movie version. And they were saying, oh, and recently we've discovered that the T-Rex might have feathers, which is a new discovery. Like, and there's been several of those recently, and Jurassic World just sort of chose to ignore it almost. That's nitpicky. I admit that's nitpicky, but I kind of feel like a part of Jurassic Park, the first one, was that it was ahead of its time in knowledge of dinosaurs, and that's what made it so incredibly, interesting and frightening as well.
And it's just a solid original idea for a film.
Yeah.
But the problem is when you then take that and you create more versions of exactly the same thing, it becomes it just loses all of its. And the Jurassic Park as a concept just becomes this tired old trope. Yeah. I mean, I went and saw Solo this month.
Me too. That was the other one I was going to chat about. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so Star Wars for me is dead in the water now. Anyway, I haven't really liked any of the Disney Star Wars films other than The Force Awakens. So I'm off the train now. But Solo was mildly enjoyable. But again, we don't need this film. Can we please be putting money into films that are original ideas that have concepts that are strong, aren't based on something that's come out 40 years ago? It's just such a shame. And I think I only go to the cinema semi-regularly because most of the stuff that's in the cinema is large franchises of repeat ideas. I mean, the other film I saw this month in the cinema was Hereditary, and it was great to see a film which was something. I mean, it is based on a lot of horror tropes, and I think that was maybe its downfall in a lot of places. But it was a bloody scary horror film. I was well directed.
Told that's sort of bringing back a more like genuinely sort of clever way of horror, because horror is stuck constantly in if it's not jump scary, it's not scary to me. Oh, I didn't jump once,
But that's just the same audience that like Jurassic World too, though, isn't it? That's not. If you talk to film critics or film fans, you find that there have been some genuinely brilliant. I mean, A Quiet Place was a great horror film. The Witch a couple of years ago was one of the scariest films I've seen in a long time. Even back in sort of 2011, you got a British film like The Kill List, which was like a kind of horror film. I think horror films, when they're done right, can be some of the most daring original films in the whole of that medium. But obviously, horror cinema falls into the same kind of tropes that blockbuster filmmaking falls into, doesn't it? It's the same kind of ideas. It's the same generic conventions that we see all the time. But unfortunately, that's what audiences seem to like to see anyway. So they're going to keep making them.
One of my favourite YouTubers, just in general, because he's such a wonderful person, and you can tell by the way he talks about film, is Chris Stuckman. And he's just so good. And he talked about how horror movies are essentially just jump scares nowadays, and that's all people want to see. And it's like, it's truly, there are, and what he made the point that all of these horror films have such small budgets, yet they're making, 5 times that, like 10 times that, like the Paranormal Activities. They made about 10 times their budget. I think the first Paranormal Activity was made for about 30,000, wasn't it, or something so minuscule, and it was a massive box office hit.
It's unreal. Yeah. And it's not even good. That Paranormal Activity was not good.
No.
It's crazy.
No, totally
and
not.
it's just completely baity with its I understand the homemade horror type thing could work, but I've never seen it in a way where I found it scary, because it's always just makes you jump, and that to me is not enjoyable. I don't want to jump. I want to actually be, mentally involved in the characters and what they're going through, and understand how that can be scary, rather than having a fucking, the lights turn off and then they turn back on and there's a girl in a fucking dress and, long black hair, and I'm like, ugh.
The only time that those kind of found footage films have worked, I remember seeing the original Blair Witch Project when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I was completely terrified. And that was kind of one of the originals. And then you have a film like, I don't know if you guys have seen Wreck. It was like a Spanish horror film, which it's like a group of, basically everyone's stuck in a big apartment block, and there's a breakout, like a zombie breakout. And because that's also claustrophobic, it's absolutely terrifying. And there are a few jump scares, but mostly it's just ratcheting the tension up with kind of claustrophobia and the camera shots and things like that. So it can be done well. I think it's about what audiences are expecting to go in and experience. I know some people who want to go and see a horror film, they want to jump. That's what that's what they want to do. It's a bit like it's a fairground ride rather than being a film.
Yeah.
So if you're going expecting that, and a load of audiences went and saw The Witch and expected that, and it's this really sort of cerebral, slow-burning horror film, of course they're going to hate it, But But I mean, even A Quiet Place, John Krasinski's film, that had jump scares in it, but you can put jump scares in and it not feel cheap, I suppose. It felt like it was part of the story, and it felt like it was necessary to tell the story. Yeah. It was part of the whole overall concept. Yeah. That's okay.
Well, I mean,
jump scares make sense in that kind of world as well, because like it's so silent, and then obviously something can just come out, and then it makes sense. I feel like it got away with it in that film.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
I mean, like going back to Alien. That's what Alien did so well. You were talking earlier about the claustrophobia of those people in a block. Like these people are in space, and there's this fucking alien thing that's injecting itself and impregnating you, and like I just love that claustrophobia, and it does, especially in Alien 2. Aliens give you jump scares, but it's only, and that you're only jumping because you're so involved with what the fuck's going on. Like horror movies that get you involved without having one of those like teen movies where they're all getting murdered, but they're all characters you just don't. Yeah, they're all characters you just don't give a shit about. You're like well,
Unfriended.
Yeah, well, it's like that's your fault. You're a stupid character. I can't empathize with you at all. You know those movies where you're sitting there. You're like, don't go outside. Don't go outside. Don't go in that room. Don't hide there. You're like, how can I empathize with this character when they're fucking dumb?
Yeah, but I feel like that's an intentional thing from these filmmakers sometimes, because part of sitting there with a load of people at home watching a horror film is you all shouting, "Don't go and do that." I wouldn't go and do that, and I think that's sometimes part of the puerile enjoyment of a horror film like that, because it's just you would never do those things in those situations. What was the film that I think it was Neil Marshall that directed it, The Descent?
Okay. Oh yeah, I've not seen that.
Oh my god, that's a pretty good film, but it's a film that starts to fall in the final sort of hurdle because it becomes again a bit too generic. Right. But that's a film that the characters are really well developed actually, and the whole thing feels well crafted, and it can still be scary. But like you say, you still have a connection to the characters. But I do think a lot of those sort of by the numbers horror films are made with those audiences in mind, that they want to kind of have a bit of theatrical fun with watching the film, which is, I don't really see a problem with that, but I don't necessarily want to see it in the cinema personally, because that's just not really why I go and spend 10 or 11 quid in the cinema these days. I'm not going to spend money on that.
It's I'm a horrible one for listening to reviews. Like I'll watch a review of a movie before I go and see it, and even if they'll give it a bad review, and yet I'm still like, yeah, I'll go and see that. I don't know why. I just don't I think it's purely because I want to almost prove them wrong. I want to go in and think, okay, I'm in the mindset now where I'm in a good mindset technically for that film, thinking I'm gonna, think of their points, but I'm gonna go against them, as much as I can. Obviously, there's gonna be bits I'm just gonna completely agree with, or sometimes, I'm like, yeah, their review is on point. I try not to go into a film with a completely negative, opinion, and I think I did that with Solo. And that movie was semi-enjoyable. I just think the idea of a Solo movie, as you were saying, just why? What's the point? We don't need it. Han Solo in the trilogy was my favourite part, and I have this trilogy. I have that trilogy to watch whenever I want. That's all I need. I don't need some background where, there are references, semi-references to the original for nerds, who understand.
Do you know what really frustrates me about? I think this made me so angry. So I have a group of friends, and we kind of only really meet up to see the Star Wars films, even though at this point we dislike them. We still meet up to watch them, and it's like a little tradition. We went and saw The Last Jedi in London, and the moment with the dice or the die that were put on the floor that Luke brings back, which have never ever been in any of the original films. And I remember my friend turning to me and saying, bet that'll be relevant in the Solo film.
It was.
And lo and behold, it was. Yeah, and it's like, so that is the most cynical franchise building you can possibly do. See, as much as I'm not the hugest Marvel fan, I can appreciate what they've done. in terms of building a world, and it's really incredibly well done. But that is just so disgustingly cynical. Yeah. And it didn't really work either, because people didn't really enjoy Solo, and I think people started to see through this idea that people like that character, let's just make 10 films of that one character.
Yeah, we liked Solo because he was to be honest, like, oh my god, my mind's going, I think it's because of the heat, I've completely forgotten his name. Han Solo in the trilogy. Trilogy. Oh. Harrison Ford, yeah. Okay. I think it's because like that character was carried by Harrison Ford. That man is a fucking genius actor. I've loved him and he's played so many specific roles too, like Indiana Jones, Blade Runner, and on the surface these could just, obviously they all look like the same people on the surface, just in different outfits, but somehow, like, he manages to pull off crazy specific roles in unique ways every time, and I always think that about Solo when I'm watching him in those trilogy. I'm like, fuck man, that's Indiana Jones, but it just totally isn't as well. How do you pull off the same, witty, smart, character? Because I said, when you boil them down, they have similar attitudes to things. They're quite, sassy, but intelligent characters. But somehow he just pulls it off so well. I love Harrison Ford, and that's something. No, well, last point, I guess that was what I didn't like about this actor for the new Solo. I think he portrayed Solo as base level as Solo gets.
See, that's what's funny. So just to be completely contrarian again, the thing I enjoyed most about the Solo film was Alden Ehrenreich's performance. Right. I actually thought that he crafted it in a way that had a few subtle nods towards the way Ford played that character, but he never made it feel like an impression, which is the issue I had with Glover's version of Lando Calrissian. It felt like someone doing an SNL performance of a character.
You didn't like. I thought Lando was probably my favourite part.
Yeah, and I think I'm in the minority saying that. I just because there was a moment where so Lando's introduced, and I quite liked the beginning, and then all of a sudden we have a shot to, I think it's Lando making an agreement with Kira, and all of a sudden he's doing this deep Lando voice, and it's so jarring to me, because I thought, I feel like you are doing an impression of Billy D. Williams playing that character, and that's what really turns me off these kind of films in the first place, because if you're going to recast, it's such a difficult balance to get. You need to try and be similar to the previous actor, but also make it your own thing, and I don't feel like Glover really did that, but I do think that Alden Ehrenreich did a really good job of that. But again, I still don't need to see the film. It's not a needed project, is it?
But most of us probably agree with that.
I actually haven't seen it, but I don't really think I care.
It's not.
I've been off the Star Wars train for ages. Even The Force Awakens, which I liked, still felt like a retread of old ideas, to be honest. And even the original, I mean, this is a hot take, but even the original three, for me, are pretty overrated. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Get out.
Yeah, no.
They're just, I don't know. The world they created, ahead of its time with the CGI, everything about that I'll never take away. Some of the characters are amazing, but as films, I find them a bit dull, and I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, you're more of a prequels man, aren't you?
Love those prequels.
We do not talk about those prequels. we keep away from those.
I've had endless entertainment out of those films. I'm not going to badmouth the prequels because I just enjoy them for their schlock.
Me too. I think they're hilarious. In the same, like, Matt, the trilogy, the first, the original trilogy, I adore because for all the right reasons. Because I think they're fantastic movies that actually work in a trilogy, right? They don't just try and make two other films for the money. That all of these three films work together. I don't see how they wouldn't, I don't see how they would work without the other, one film without the other two. I love that they're in a trilogy and it works. But the prequels, there's something so good about the acting. Hayden Christensen, for one, has given me hours of enjoyment. Watching him cry, watching him try to be serious, fucking beautiful. And the CGI is borderline hilarious too, and Lord knows why, because I watched the recent, the more up to date trilogies because they added CGI in them. I don't know if you've seen that, Ollie, but yeah. So
there's been a number of different. Yeah. So when I was about 5 years old when the special editions were put into the cinema, and that was prior to Phantom Menace, and they started adding CGI from around the mid 90s, and I remember seeing them in the cinema. That's one of my earliest memories. And then we got the 2004, I think, DVD release, which added even more CGI, and then we got another version with even more, and that, to the point where you actually can't watch the original versions from the 70s now because you only have the CGI reworkings, which has prompted a lot of fan backlash and stuff. And
that's what I've watched recently, and I just see, like, you know the bit where the sort of, it's Luke and it's Obi-Wan cruising through this the sand planet, I forget what it's called, and that
Tatooine.
And he goes, these are not the droids you're looking for, but like on the way to that scene, there's just this fucking big ass ugly CGI monster that just walks past the camera, and they're in the background as well. And it's like, the beauty about that movie is that it was so handmade. Like those like the puppets that they used for these beasts made it look like it all sort of came together really nicely. It had an aesthetic. So when you put this big ass fucking CGI monster in front of the camera, it just makes it fucking look ugly, and I don't want to watch it. Just
if you ever get a chance, I don't know if you've heard of Harmy's despecialized editions. No. So Harmy's like a Star Wars uber fan, but also a film editor, and he took the original the Prince's original as he could find, as well as the up to date versions, and he retrofitted them and basically tried to make them look as close to the original Prince as possible and remove the CGI. Wow. And he's done an incredible job. You can, obviously it's not exactly legal, but you can find them online, and that's the most faithful you'll see for the way that they were originally intended in the theatres in the 70s and 80s, and they're fantastic. That's the best way of you seeing the original trilogy of Star Wars, I think.
Fantastic.
Now. But it's a shame that the only way you can do that is through fan means and not exactly, and not.
I really wish George Lucas, like, I mean, I hate to wish this on anyone. I wish he just would have fucked off at some point, like not giving it to Disney, but like giving it to someone who knows what they're doing. I wish George Lucas just would have went away. That's because after the trilogy, he made so many bad decisions. Including the CGI for the trilogy, but also just the writing in general for the next three movies. I'm not sure if George Lucas still wrote the most recent ones. Did he write them?
What, you mean The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi? No, he's had nothing to do with it since he sold it.
Yeah, he sold it off, right?
Yeah, no, he's had nothing to do with it. I just have so much fatigue for Star Wars because I think there's just nothing you can do that's original or interesting with these ideas.
No, because
it's going back to the same thing, isn't it? It's just there's nothing original, so stop doing the same film.
The beauty about the original trilogy is that it keeps reinventing itself every second. It adds new things, and you're like, "Whoa, you're fucking amazing!" And then by the time you get to here, you're like, "Oh, a robot who's sassy and feminist." Is that all we can truly bring to this generation Star
Disney.
Wars?
They're gonna appeal to that crowd, aren't they? They're gonna make it as basic as they can without any substance. Like Rogue One to me was like that. Like none of the character, the lead character was just not even there. Like what even was she? She just had no emotion at all. Like people took the piss out of Kristen Stewart from Twilight, but the character, the acting in that was worse in my opinion. But
I'd watch Solo 10 times over Rogue One. I thought Rogue One was the most boring Star Wars film I've ever seen.
So boring.
Yeah, agreed.
It's literally just
there's something we can all agree on.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Everything has been said.
Everything has been said.
We end on Star Wars.
Yeah, I think we've torn Star Wars a new arsehole, which I think I do once a week at this point.
Yeah, it just happens. It's got to happen.
Yeah, shame I couldn't say more because I haven't seen Solo, so but I'm sure you guys are correct on that film. I mean, did it even make it back? Its budget? Did it make it back, or did it just?
I don't imagine it did, because I mean, it made. Well, I mean, I think the budget was between 250 and 300. It made that in the box office, but usually marketing is almost about the same amount as the film budget was originally. So there's no way they made all that money back. I wouldn't think. That's why they're rethinking all the next few films.
At one point they were cancelled, and now maybe they're not cancelled. Who knows? Who knows?
Wow.
Yeah. God.
What a
screw Star Wars, basically.
Thanks, Disney.
Yeah.
God. Stay frozen, you
Cheers,
twat.
guys.
Imagine anybody getting that angry at Disney who've made
Star Wars
like
fans would.
Yeah, well,
they would.
But they're such a well, I was about to say they're child friendly, but to be honest, like they're not for putting films out like that.
I mean, they're media conglomerates that are about to own, over a third of the whole journosphere, which is not a good thing at all. They're actually, it's probably more sinister than you realise.
Wow. Disney, the next Nazis.
The next Nazis. Wow.
That's a hot
derived
take.
from and recycled, politics right there.
Recycled Nazis.
It's what old Walt would have wanted.
We've come full circle.
Yeah. Let's end on that. Walt
Disney
I reckon
we should.
Would 100% be Nazi if he was alive.
I love it. But yeah, we should end it about here. We've been talking quite a while, so I hope if anyone's listening still, you've enjoyed what you've heard. Ollie, thank you. Thank you for coming on. This has been so good.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been really enjoyable. Happy to do it again at some point. That was, it's really nice to chat and absolutely rip apart Star Wars and slag off Father John Misty, much to Josh's.
No, I like hearing people's opinions. People's own opinions.
Ouch.
No, it's been great. Thank you again for coming on. Thank you, Josh, as always, and thank you everyone for listening. And I hope you enjoyed this one. Goodbye.
Hey.